You know how it goes. CAPTCHA solving can work absolutely perfectly in a quick demo, and then just completely fall apart in production. Today, we're moving way beyond those brittle happy path demos to build bulletproof, production-ready CAPTCHA automations. Let's fix this massive headache once and for all.
The happy path. We have all been there, right? CAPTCHA handling looks deceptively simple when it works the very first time on your local machine. You know the drill. A developer grabs the site key, sends a solve request, gets a token back, submits the form, and boom, everything looks fine. You high-five your screen and push the code.
But then, production reality hits you. The exact same workflow runs unattended inside CI, or maybe a queue worker, a cron job, or a test environment. And suddenly, things just break. The token is solved, but unexpectedly rejected. The retry loop keeps spinning forever. The login that worked locally completely fails in production. Your dashboard is sitting there saying the CAPTCHA was solved, but the sign-in flow still doesn't complete. That is the real problem we're tackling.
The hard part isn't getting one successful solve. It's building a Better-Auth sign-in workflow that's stable, observable, and actually safe to maintain. So here's our practical checklist for this explainer. 1. Scope and inputs. 2. Sessions and polling. 3. Retries and errors. 4. Monitoring and review. And 5. Mistakes to avoid. Let's dive right in.
Okay, Phase 1. Scope and inputs.
First up, you have to confirm the workflow is actually allowed. Before writing a single line of code, check your scope. Is this your own application, an internal system, approved QA monitoring? This type of workflow should literally only be used in owned, client-authorized, or contractually permitted environments. If the scope is murky, just stop right there. Second, capture only the exact live inputs required. Please do not guess. Check the live page or network request and confirm the CAPTCHA type, site key, page URL, and action value. Bad inputs create completely false debugging trails. Teams love to blame the solver when the real issue is just an outdated site key.
Moving right along to Phase 2, Sessions, Polling, and Handoffs.
Rule 3. Keep the token inside the exact same browser session that triggered the challenge. I can't stress this enough. This is one of the biggest production issues you will face. Mismatched sessions are the single biggest cause of post-solve rejections. If one browser session triggers the challenge, but a totally different session submits the token, verification will fail. You've got to keep your cookies, headers, user agent, and IP context perfectly consistent. The golden rule is, did the exact same session that requested the CAPTCHA also submit the result?
And this brings us to Rule 4. Every CAPTCHA solve attempt requires a precise, controlled polling lifecycle. You don't want to wait forever. The strategy is straightforward. Wait exactly 15 seconds before your first poll. Then, poll every 5 seconds. Finally, enforce a strict 120-second hard timeout per task. Treat a timeout as a real, actionable failure. A workflow with no timeout isn't resilient, it's just a zombie waiting forever.
Now for Rule 5. Separate your solver success from your sign-in success. Listen, a solved CAPTCHA absolutely does not mean the login actually worked. You must track two totally different metrics here. If solver success is high, meaning you got the token, but your downstream login success is low, you likely have a session mismatch, an expired token, or a bad submission flow. Without tracking both of these, your team is essentially just guessing.
All right, into Phase 3. Let's talk about managing retries and errors, because things will eventually break.
Rule 6. Set a retry budget. Retries are super helpful, but infinite retries? Actually, scratch that. Infinite retries aren't just dangerous, they're a quick way to burn system resources. You need to cap them, usually at 3 attempts with exponential backoff. Retrying a temporary not ready response is totally different from retrying an invalid key. Which brings us to Rule 7. Log useful, specific failure details. No more vague logs like CAPTCHA failed. Log the response status, attempt count, final error code, and environment. Never log secrets, of course, but give enough context so your teammates can actually fix the thing.
Rule 8 is an absolute lifesaver. Watch out for silent updates to the CAPTCHA family. A sign-in page can change without any warning whatsoever from the front-end team. The site key could be rotated, or new hidden fields could be added overnight. So if your workflow suddenly starts failing out of nowhere, check for page updates before immediately blaming the solver for the sudden outage.
Getting to the end here. Phase 4, Monitoring and Code Review.
Rule 9. Solve volume alone just isn't enough. You need to monitor the actual cost per accepted solve. You want your first solve latency under 25 seconds for token CAPTCHAs and a solver success rate of at least 95%. But crucially, you want your end-to-end acceptance post-token to be high as well. If your total solve requests shoot up, but your accepted sign-ins stay flat, something is horribly wrong and it is eating into your margins.
Which brings us to Rule 10. You have to add this exact CAPTCHA handling checklist to your code review. It absolutely cannot be some hidden helper function that nobody ever looks at. It demands rigorous review. Check the exact request inputs, the session handoffs, the polling cadence, the retry limits, and make sure those metric alerts are wired up. Real human eyes need to verify this against the checklist.
Finally, Phase 5. Common mistakes to avoid. Let's hit a quick FAQ to close things out. We see this question literally all the time. Why does a supposedly solved CAPTCHA still fail? While the answer is almost always one of three things. The token was submitted in a mismatched session, or it expired before it was even used, or it was generated from stale, incorrect challenge parameters because the live page changed on you. Submitting a token in the wrong HTTP context is a guaranteed instant rejection.
Here's another critical operational question for you. How many retries should you actually allow when an error pops up?
The answer? You must use a small, capped retry budget with exponential backoff. Persistent failures shouldn't run forever. Failing immediately and surfacing the error is almost always safer than burning through your balance on a completely broken loop. Seriously, do not retry every single error.
To wrap this explainer up, remember this. Do not treat token generation as the finish line. A dashboard that simply says, CAPTCHA solved, just is not enough. You need to know if the full workflow actually worked. The finish line isn't the token, it's successful downstream acceptance. So go inspect your own downstream metrics. Take these rules back to your team and start building automations that truly survive in production. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.